you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You chuck it on that one, you chuck it on this one, you chuck it on your mother and you chuck it on your father, you chuck it on your brother and you chuck it on your sister, you chuck it on that one and you chuck it on me. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do?
Every week I think, oh, I'm not going to have anything to film for my Robbie thing because it's nothing going on this week. Yeah, right?
My life is never dull. Robbie's life is never dull.
Just look for the police cars. Oh, look, there we go. Look at that. Ambulance, police cars. Can we make a bigger deal out of this?
Are you kidding?
Yeah, just go around to the left because I'm going to go in the back door. Yeah, just go park right here. What's going on, Rob? You liked riding in the ambulance, didn't you? Yeah, I know, because it's like riding in a car. And they blow the sirens and stuff, and that was fun. Right? Yeah, look at you. You look cute. Your scrubs. Okay, come on. All right, get back into bed. There you go. Okay? All right. We're going to watch a movie now? Yes? All right. Okay, Rob, let's eat some lunch, buddy. He did pee-pee. Yay! Thumbs up, we did pee-pee. Now we can get this charged. Yes? You want to eat some lunch? Yes? Okay. Let's see what we got. Wait. That's what we were waiting for. Right, Rob? Here. Okay, so here's the lowdown of what happened today. I called Robbie's home. I said, I'm leaving now. I'm on the way to come. I'll be about 15 minutes late. And the man that works with him said, we have a little problem here. The police are here. What? So what happened was the man that usually works with Robbie, he really never has any issues with him because he knows Robbie very well. He knows what he wants and what he needs. Robbie, there's no behavior issues when this man is working. Well, he left. He left with one of the other members to take them to the eye doctor. So Robbie went downstairs. The office is downstairs, and that's where Robbie gets his meds. So Robbie went downstairs looking for the man, and he wasn't there. So the girl that was left taking care of him went down there. She followed Robbie down there, and Robbie got aggressive with her. He pulled her down. That's what he does. He grabs the shirt. He pulls you to the floor. He apparently just went totally like ballistic on her, and so she called 911. It seems that it's always when the women work with him, they're the ones that he gets aggressive with because he can get away with it. Men, he's a little more afraid of. He knows they're stronger than him. He can't get away with it. But women, he tends to go off on them a lot quicker. And the women are the ones that freak out and call 911. But that men seem to not get freaked out by it, you know, and this man had said, you know, Robbie did it with him once. He didn't freak out about it. It was over. Robbie never did it again. So then I pulled up, and you saw the video of what I saw. I saw 2 cop cars and an ambulance there, a whole big scene. I went to the door and they came out as I got there. I met with 2 police officers and a medic from the unit, and before I went, they said, before you come in, we want you to know that your son is in handcuffs. What? They said, just so you know, he's in handcuffs. It's for his protection. It's so that he doesn't hurt himself or hurt anyone else. And then they said that they're going to take him away. Excuse me? They said, don't worry, he's not in trouble. We're not arresting him. We're just going to take him to the hospital. It's procedure. They have to do this. So I stood outside and I talked to them. I said, you do understand it's autism, you know, like, yes, we know, we understand, and that this is something that, you know, they were fine with him, you know. They said, we're going to take him in the ambulance. They said, what hospital would you like him to go to? I had my choice. I said, please not Trinitas. I don't want him going there. I said, I would like him to go to Overlook in Summit because that's where his seizure center is, and that's where his neurologist was, because I was afraid that stress brings on a seizure. I want to make sure that he's in the hospital where his seizure doctors are and his neurologist, just in case. They said, good choice, absolutely no problem. We will bring him there. Would you like to ride with him? Yes, please. So I rode in the ambulance. So I said goodbye to Nikki and his family. Obviously, we're not going to the water park today. We are going to spend the day in the ER. So I got in the ambulance and I rode with them in the ambulance, and I talked to the police officer. I asked the police officer, I said, have you guys had training in autism? And he said, yes, we have, but we could use more. I agree, because he's not, you know, there was a whole lot more of things that I was talking about that I felt like he didn't really know a whole lot, you know, about Robbie when it had to do with behaviors and things like that. So that's another issue for another episode. So we rode in the ambulance, and of course Robbie loved it because he was sitting up in the stretcher watching out the windows as they were driving, and he was watching the drive, and he was doing his usual, you know, bop that you see him do in the car because he was loving the ride, and they're blowing the horn, honk, honk, you know, taking the fast ride to the hospital, and of course he's loving it, and me, I'm sitting in the ambulance, you know, going back and forth like this, and I started getting seasick. And then, but I have to tell you, when they took him out of the house and I saw my son in handcuffs being escorted by the police, what that does to a mom to see that, everything inside of me wanted to go ballistic, wanted to freak out, but I kept myself calm. I knew that the police knew, as a mom, I was probably going to freak out. My husband went through the police academy and was going to become a police officer. So I know the number one thing that police are taught about, the hardest call of all, is a domestic dispute, and you're going to deal with girlfriends, wives, and mothers that go nuts on cops when they see their kids being arrested. Now, he wasn't being arrested, but to see him in handcuffs and being escorted out, that's going to freak you out. I hope to God no mother ever has to see that. But compared to the seizures and the fact that they told me ahead of time, he's not in trouble, we're not arresting him, we just want to keep him contained so that he doesn't hurt himself. You know, they calmed me down. You know, I didn't freak out or anything. I was as calm as I am now. But on the inside, when I got in the ambulance, I was nauseous. Anyway, so we took a ride to the hospital and they checked him out just to make sure he wasn't hurt. His knees were scraped up because obviously he took her to the ground. He had rug burns on his knees. They wanted to make sure he had no broken bones, etc. They did blood work, Took us a couple hours to get urine. We had to get lunch for him. We had to get soda and water. He did his, he finally got his urine sample. The scat people came again. If you go back and watch my Father's Day episode, that was when we first met the people from SCAT. SCAT came again. Someone from Trinitas and people from this Overlook Hospital came and met with us. We discussed Robbie's behavior. They asked if there were any triggers, what could have possibly set this off. I explained to them that he's moved to several group homes. There's a lot of changeover in the staff, and I think what's going on is he just feels people just don't understand him. They don't know what he wants, and he's just losing patience. He's like done at this point. He's like, oh, you're another new one. You don't know what I want. Forget you. I'm done with you. He just has no patience. And so, they're going to follow up with phone calls. They will continue with services if we want it, but we have our own behaviorist. So the next thing is to talk to the behaviorist. Now, here's what I'm kicking myself about. I told them repeatedly. I told several different people, after he had his last behavior, we met with Bianca, his behaviorist, and I came up with a new meltdown toy.
No, wait, don't do it that way. Here. Grab this pulp. All right. Awesome. You're fine. Good. Okay.
Of Velcro that he can grab and pull when he's upset. But have I finished making it yet? No. We sat around in the hospital for 5 hours waiting for blood work to be done, and then SCAT said it's okay for Robbie to go home, work with your behaviorist. He did not have to come home with me this time, and then we had to wait around for the doctor to discharge him. And you know the way hospitals are. We sat there for hours and hours. So that's it. The one thing I learned from this episode is one, hurry up and get my Velcro meltdown toy done, and hurry up and get that to the behaviorist. And the other thing is, always bring a charger with you for your iPhone, so that in case, God forbid, we end up in the emergency room, I can keep playing videos for Robbie, because this hospital did not have the Disney videos. They had a TV, and there were no cartoons playing. There was nothing on TV that Robbie wanted to watch, and I really needed my phone to run YouTube videos. So from now on, I make sure there's always a charger in my purse. And the other thing is that they don't have the pull-ups that Robbie wears in the hospital, so I need to always keep a pull-up on me, for emergencies too. Because you think you're heading off to Bayonne, going to the water park, and you may end up in the ER. Who knows? Anyway, that's it for today. Over and out. Okay, so it's Wednesday. It's been, 4 days now since Robbie was taken away. So I talked to somebody from Robbie's group home, and here's what happened. The man that watches Robbie on Saturdays, Robbie was following him around room to room, like, kind of like a little puppy dog at his heels, happy to be with him and expecting to be with him all day and go places with him. And then he left. So I guess, they should have communicated better with Robbie that he was leaving, but I was on my way to come get him, so that's why he didn't take him with him. So when the girl went down to get Robbie, he, went off on her, and she, had calmed him down, she thought, but then when she, he came at her 3 times. That's what happened. So she, she tried to call the man to come back, and she couldn't call because he kept coming after her, and she just didn't know what to do. This was a last resort. So I'm happy to hear that it wasn't her first reaction to call the police. It was the last final resort, because she just didn't know what to do. And they are afraid that he's going to hurt himself because of the way he goes down on the floor. He had rug burns on his knees, but that was it. So that's that. And then Sunday I went to go sing at church. I'm thankful that they took Robbie back home again, because that would have been a whole other issue, if that I would have had to make arrangements for Robbie on Sunday, and I didn't have to deal with that. So before I got up to sing, the woman who was the minister, she's one of the ministers on staff there, she asked me, so how's your weekend going? Couldn't answer her. She's like, what's wrong? I told her. She gave me a big, huge hug, and she said, oh, don't you worry about Robbie. He has a huge angel that watches over and protects him. You just need to remember that. You just need to know that God's watching over him and protecting him. So then when I thought about it, I realized, I can't even believe that I didn't even realize this. When I walked up the steps to, and the policeman came out, and they told me that Robbie was about to come out with handcuffs. Right behind the policeman was the girl working the EMS. And as soon as she walked out the door, she had a huge smile on her face. She says, hi, Mrs. Gellermini, how are you? You are not going to believe this, but the girl working EMS used to work at Robbie's group home. She worked with him for 2 years. She knows him. So the very first person that was there when that 911 call hit was like the first guardian angel that was there for Robbie. She knew him. She worked with him right in his house. So she was there with him the whole time. She sat with him. She took care of him. She rode in the ambulance with us. I talked to her, you know, and that kept the whole situation calm. Calm for me and calm for Robbie. Then when we got to the hospital and we were in the room, they assigned a nurse's aide to sit outside the room and keep an eye on Robbie. So at first she asked me, how does he communicate? And I said, don't worry about it. I'm not leaving. I'll be here to take care of him. And then she said, does he have autism? Yes. And then I thought, oh, here we go. I'm going to have to go through this whole explanation. She says, oh, I have one too. You have one what? She says, oh yeah, I have a son with autism too. He's 28 years old. Yeah. What are the chances of that the person assigned to us has a son like Robbie? So she hung out with us for the 5 hours that we were there, and she and I talked and we laughed and we compared our sons and told stories, and you know, the whole day ended up being fine. So I have learned, you know, to try to chill out and relax, trust God to take care of Robbie, and it's, you know, he doesn't stop these things from happening. However, he makes sure that he's got the right people in the right place at the right time. And it was kind of like, this was like a little lesson where God was just showing me, hey, I got this. I got this. Don't be panicking and don't worry, because I got it all under control. So, that's it for today. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm just gonna keep rolling on, moving forward, onward and upward.
Nobody now give you no break. Police now give you no break. That old soldier man I give you no break. Not even your eyes now give you no breaks. Well,